Welcome, everyone. Welcome to day 5. I can't believe we're here. It felt really fast to me. And we have really covered a lot of ground this week. And today we are talking about money, but not just about money. We're talking about prosperity. We're talking about what money is, what prosperity is, what it really means to be wealthy. I used to have so much resistance just to that word because I had so much conditioning in my subconscious mind about that word, about money. So many beliefs that caused me to actually repel money from my life. I talked about this on day 1. Consciously, I knew I needed and wanted more of it. I had things I wanted to do, and I had a lot of things I needed to do. But subconsciously, I had so much resistance to money and to wealth and to success and all of these things that we've been talking about. And my resistance subconsciously was keeping it all from me. So I'm going to keep that as the main theme for today, that we're not looking at money in a different way today than we've been looking at everything else this week. I'm holding firm to the truth here, which is that everything, and I say everything, if I could speak in bold capital letters, you would see the word everything coming out of my mouth and it would be bold and capital letters. That's how much I mean everything. Everything in your physical life, without exception, and I say that in bold capital letters too, without exception, is a reflection of an idea, a belief, a pattern that you have fused with subconsciously. Everything. So today, it when I speak about money and I speak about wealth and I speak about prosperity, this is the context I'm speaking about it with because there's nothing else. There's nothing outside of you that is not a reflection of what's inside of you. Remember the law of cause and effect, the law of laws, as Emerson called it. For every cause, there is an effect. And everything that is a cause is invisible. So remember, we talked about this on day 2. We're taking radical responsibility here. And that radical responsibility is the key to our ultimate empowerment, our, our freedom to say, okay, I'm seeing this and this and this and this. I'm seeing all these things. Everything I see is an effect of an internal cause that's in my own consciousness. So now my entire focus isn't on fixing what's on the movie screen by going up to the screen and trying to change it. Everything that I'm doing is now focused on changing the film. So today we're going to watch the movie on the screen. It's like we're looking at what's on the screen right now, what's on the screen in your life in terms of money. What's in your bank account? What has your experience been with money? Um, for throughout your life, now and throughout your life. If you'll probably notice for most of you, there's been a certain trend for a really long time. And you'll notice that that trend is probably similar to your parents, unless you took a really decisive fork in the road. Some people do. It doesn't mean just because you grew up in a certain environment doesn't mean you're going to have that exact experience yourself, but a lot of people do because of those paradigms, because of the programming. But there are people who grew up with very little money and now earn a lot. And there are people who grew up with a lot of money and now earn a little. So it's not, I'm not saying that your upbringing is your destiny at all. And in fact, it totally isn't, because if your results right now are very similar to your parents, that's okay. Mine were for a very long time as well. But the whole focus here is, okay, what do we want to change? And how do we change it? And a lot of you have already clarified what you want to change by writing your goals. Day one, what do you want? That's essential. It's not enough to say, well, I want to earn more money. What does that mean to the infinite power of the universe, the intelligence that you're surrounded by? I want to earn more money. Well, 5 cents more this week is more money. How much more money do you want to be earning? And why? The money itself is useless unless we're doing something with it. There are people who hoard money, they bury it in a little box under the mattress or under the ground, and then they die, and it's still sitting there. That money is just potential energy. Money is energy. And it's 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 here in our 3D experience for us to circulate it and exchange it, because it's an energetic system. Think about it as a circulatory system in your world of economics. It's a circulation. And if we block it up, if we hold it back, we're holding back an energetic flow in our lives. So the money itself is just a piece of paper. It symbolizes energy. It allows us to exchange with other people. I'm not going to hand this bill to my cat and say, here you go. Give me some food. I'm not going to go hand this to the blue jay outside. This is a human experience here. It allows us to exchange energy amongst ourselves as humanity. And I'll say for sure that it's one of the most highly charged topics there is. Because we have so many accepted mass beliefs on the level of mass consciousness about money that have been controlling our reality for a very long time. And they're based on things that aren't true. They're based on ideas that are not true. So we're going to take a big look at money today from a bunch of different angles. And I have to say, of all the days, this is the day that from the moment I opened my eyes this morning, I had it coming through. I had to keep writing things down, like going to my desk and writing something on the paper and I was like, whoa, okay, hold it back here. I've got an hour. I realized I could talk about this for a week. And it's interesting because many years ago, I remember distinctly sitting in the bath, laying in the bath, with my eyes closed, and asking this question that I used to ask all the time. I don't ask it anymore, and I'm so grateful that I don't ask this question anymore. This has been by far the biggest gift of being in this work for me personally, because my biggest prayer wasn't, I need more money, or, my biggest prayer was always, show me my purpose and let me live it. So there I was again in the bath asking, please, what is my purpose? Tell me my purpose. Show me my purpose. What am I doing here? What am I supposed to do? And this voice came very clearly into my mind and said, you're a prosperity teacher. And I laughed, and I was laying in the bath and I was pretty level I almost choked on the water. because I was so submerged. The water was like up to here on my face. And I laughed and the water started coming in. I almost choked on the water because that was so hysterical to me because I was struggling so much financially at that time that I was like, okay, you got the wrong gal. I don't know who you're talking to. Somehow I tuned into that radio station, but you must be talking about someone else because that's not me. And then here I am teaching this material. And here I was this morning getting the floodgates opened. What I'm sharing with you on these calls is not coming from me. I know it looks like it, and to a certain extent it is, but it's coming through me. And this morning with this topic, so much was coming through. So I'm going to do my best I never look at notes. I just let it come through. But I'm going to do my best to hit some of these points that have come through. There's so much. There's pages here that things coming through this morning. So let's begin at the beginning, okay? With the word wealth. Wealth, I like to think of as prosperity. And prosperity is not just about having a lot of money. You could have millions of dollars and not be prosperous. Because prosperity means that you are wealthy. And break that word wealthy into two parts. Remember, this is something that also came to me around a little later than that time I just shared with you. But I had this aha about the word wealthy. There's two parts to it. Well, thy. And it looks like wheel in the English language, W-E-A-L. But if I looked up that word wheel, and one definition of it is like, oh, a sore or a bruise. That's not the one we're talking about, not that kind of wheel. Your wheel is your well-being. That's an old-fashioned way of saying well. So that word wealthy is really well thy. Well yourself, well thyself. And just having a lot of money doesn't mean you're well. There are many people who are very, very rich in money, but very poor in spirit, or very depressed, very suffering in their relationships, suffering in their health, not happy in their jobs. They're earning tons of money, but they can't wait to retire and get out because they hate what they do every single day. That is not prosperity. That is just having a lot of money. Prosperity is when you have the other aspects of your life thriving. And that is what we're here to do. Remember, there are more than these four things, but just for the sake of simplicity, think about on day one when I talked about those four pillars. You've got your pillar of love, your relationships, your self-love. That's huge. Your love for humanity, all ways in which you have the opportunity to give and receive love in your life. That is one pillar. And if that pillar is uh, lacking in some way or out of balance in some way, you can't call yourself prosperous. You've got your finances. If that pillar is also not strong, you can't call yourself prosperous. I used to try to get over that one because, you know, I had a thing. I didn't really feel like I wanted to have a lot of money. But I did want to have a lot of money, but I didn't want to have a lot of money. I wanted to have a lot of money, but I really didn't like money. I didn't. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. But that's got to be strong too. Then you've got your health, your physical health, and all other levels of health. That's got to be thriving as well. And then you've got your creative fulfillment, your self-expression, your God-given power to work with creative energy in your own way that is living your purpose, that is doing what you love, that's inspiring and fulfilling to you. If you don't have that, you're not prosperous. What's the point? What's the point? How many years are you in this body? If you're not loving your life, what is the point? For real. For real. And that's why I thought about, briefly, not ever seriously, but briefly, like occasionally was like, what is the point? Maybe I should just end it because I'm not loving my life. And what is the point? Thankfully, I'm not in that place anymore. But those are the four pillars, and those four pillars constitute wealth, prosperity. And that's why we're here. That's why I teach this material. And money is a big part of it. So I'm going to speak specifically about money today because we spoke, more generally about the other parts over the past 4 days. And I'm sure I'll weave them back in, but today's focus has a lot to do with money. So let's look at the money for a minute. Let's look at the money for a minute. There's something very interesting written. Some of you watching from on YouTube or watching the recordings, I know are not in this country, so you don't have the dollar. But most of us here, I think, in this challenge are from the US, and we have the dollar. For better or for worse, we've got the dollar. And there's something very interesting written on the dollar that I, saw my entire life and used to just be like, oh yeah, that's just another way they're trying to, indoctrinate people into being religious. No, that's not how I see it at all anymore. And I'm going to share it with you today because it's going to enforce what I'm talking about. And it's written on the money. And there's a reason it's written on the money. The people who originally made this money were some of them were part of esoteric orders who had a deeper knowledge and understanding about supply and about the laws, the universal laws, and they left us a clue. And the clue that's written on the money is actually the number one most important thing that you need to cultivate in order to have more of this in your bank account. And it says, in God we trust. I've crossed out the we and I wrote I. But it says, in God we trust. Why on earth would they put that on the money? Because think about everything that I've shared with you this week about the cause of physicality. The cause is consciousness. And remember what I spoke about several times. I'm going to reiterate it here because it's so important. That there is only one whole unified existence. They call it God on the dollar here. You don't have to call it God. You could call it universe. You could just as easily say, in the universe, I trust. You could just as easily say, in source, I trust. In the divine, I trust. In the infinite, I trust. You could put whatever you want in exchange for that word God. It all means the same thing, that there is one whole unified existence that is perfect, whole, and complete. And it is infinite, and it is eternal, and it is the source and substance of everything that exists. Nothing exists outside of it. But, and this is a big but. This is a big but. I've got a big but here. Capital B-U-T in bold letters. But as humans, as women, as manifestors, I'm emphasizing that word, man, M-A-N. We are the distributors of divine energy. Remember what I said? It's coming through us. We're not just I'm not Sarah. You're not Michelle, Wendy, Casey, Kim, and everyone else watching this on the recording or YouTube. You are not your name, your body, your history, your identity. Yes, that is a concept you carry right now. But in reality, you're a conduit for the expression of this infinite power into form. We're all caught up in our individual dramas and our whole story and the whole thing and what we got to do today and what we want to take care of and what we want to accomplish and what went wrong and all the things. And we're all caught up in that. Meanwhile, there's a greater process going on that's using us. And it's attempting to use us to express greater expansion of its own inherent qualities, which are love, abundance, vitality, and beauty. Heaven, quote unquote, is not a place we go to when we die. It's a reality that actually is the only reality that exists. But we're not experiencing it because this divine power's got to flow through us into the 3D in order for us to experience it. And we have free will. I don't really understand why, have to admit, but we do. We have a choice. We either let it or we don't. We either we're either open and it's flowing and expressing itself as beauty, as vitality, as love, as harmony, as abundance, as order, as perfection, or we're blocking the flow and we're reducing that flow to a certain extent. And in its absence, we experience everything that we would call negative: lack, limitation, disorder, dis-ease, disharmony. Not because those things are essentially real. Actually, they're the absence of what's real. I didn't expect to go here on this call, but I'm doing it. They're the absence of what's real. They are actually no things, but they have all sorts of effects on us in this world of effects. So I'm not saying, okay, there's no lack in your bank account right now. No, there is. That's a fact. But it's an appearance, it's an effect that's due to a cause in your consciousness that's reducing the flow of what is actually real, which is abundance. Hate is an absence of love. There's been a reduction of the flow of love, and in its absence, you experience hatred or disorder, disharmony. Dis-ease is an absence of the flow of vitality, which is what is actually real. And it's an appearance based on something that's causing an obstruction in the flow of that vitality. I hope you're staying with me here because there's a lot that has to do with money in this. So what you have in your bank account is a reflection of how much you are letting this flow through you. The supply itself, the substance itself, is infinite. There is a universal source of supply that is infinite. And that is the infinite intelligence I'm talking about here on this call. That is the truth. So when it says in God we trust, what it's telling us here is trust that this universal supply is here for you. Because when you trust it, what happens? You relax. In the relaxing, what happens? You can receive. Fear of lack is what obstructs the flow of money in your life. I want you to think of it. Here I am back to an analogy. We were on toaster ovens. Today it's going to be garden hoses. Think about a garden hose, okay? The hose is connected to the spigot. And the spigot is on. That's every single one of us. You as an entity are connected to the spigot, which is the source, and the source is on. Okay? It's primed and ready to go. It is, it just is. This energy is, and it's right here for you. On the other end of the hose, you have a nozzle, and you turn on the nozzle and you're all ready to water your garden, and it's like drip, drip, drip. Meanwhile, there's like 50 to 80, or 100 gallons per hour potential water ready to flow through that hose, and it's on. But on your end, it's going drip, drip, drip. What's the problem? I know. I'm sure you know too, but I was a gardener for a very long time, and I still am a gardener in my leisure. You've got a kink in the hose, and that kink is in your consciousness. If you're anything like I was, and I'm still upgrading my beliefs constantly, by the way, it's not like you're speaking to a finished product here. I'm right here doing this work with you. It gets better and better and better every single day. The kink is in your consciousness. The kink is in your paradigm, your beliefs. You've got to be willing to take a look at what you believe about money. Now, some people say, oh, yeah, I totally believe that the universe is infinite and it's totally got my back and there's infinite supply here for me at all times. And I believe in the law of attraction and I believe it's all coming to me. I believe it's all coming to me right now. And then they're like, but I don't have the money to, I'm not going to pay for that. Or, but I can't afford this. Or I'm afraid that if I spend that, then I won't have this. Or they turn right around and show me that's not what they believe. They maybe intellectually have accepted it, but their subconscious hasn't because it's not impacting their feelings and their behavior. So it's in order to get the money flow going, number one, the very first thing to eradicate from your consciousness is fear. And the only way to eradicate that fear is by replacing it with faith. And remember how I said, and I do not remember which day I said it now. It's all blurring together. Remember how I said I didn't have any faith when I started this work. But thankfully, my good old friend Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich said, if you don't have faith, you can acquire faith by affirming repeatedly that you do have faith. So most people that come to work with me need certain affirmative statements that are, at the very beginning at least, affirming that they are supported by infinite intelligence, that they are one with universal supply, that their needs and desires are now and forever supplied, that they always have plenty of money to do everything that they need and want to do. Now, that as it is not currently necessarily a fact in your life. You might not right now have all the money that you need to do everything that you need and want to do physically, but it's all here for you. And if you keep affirming that you don't have it, and you keep feeling on a nervous system level like you don't have it, you're not going to be able to unkink that hose and actually have it. Remember what I said? I quoted Wayne Dyer, and he said, it's not the way we were taught. We won't see it before we believe it, which is how most people operate. Oh yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. You're going to wait for the rest of your life then. We'll see it when we believe it. And a belief is just a thought that you've had so many times that it has become true for you. So your beliefs are not set in stone. They can be changed. You can go into the garden of your own consciousness and weed out those beliefs that are not serving you anymore and throw them in the compost. Turn them into fertilizer for what you want to plant, which is your faith, your goals that are going to grow as you water them with your faith. Faith in God, faith in the infinite, faith in what we actually are. It's not faith in something outside of ourselves. It's the understanding that just as easily as this cut on my hand healed, my finances are taken care of. Just that easily. But we are so there's more than one kink in the hose, let's just say. We are really knotted up on a bunch of parts of the hose when it comes to money. Most people are. So think about it for a minute. I wrote down some questions that the infinite intelligence gave to me this morning for you to just ponder for a minute. For example, how do you feel when you pay a bill? I don't know about you, but I used to do this when it came to my money. This is how I approached my finances. I couldn't stand to look. I would get in and get out as fast as I could from my bank account. What is that telling my subconscious that is now sending off that information to the infinite to produce it for me in physical form? It's not telling anything that has to do with abundance and prosperity. I'll tell you that. How do you feel when you pay your bills? I used to wait until the very end of the month to pay my bills. Is that what you would do with your financial goal achieved? Remember what we talked about yesterday with self-image? Oh no, it wasn't yesterday. The day before. See, I told you it's all blurring together. And yesterday we talked about this a lot. You have to practice being the woman who already has your goal achieved. How does she feel when she pays her bills? How does she feel when she looks at her bank account? How does she handle her bills? Like when does she pay them? I started paying my bills as soon as they came in because I knew that that was the vibration of I have. I always have plenty to spare and plenty to share. That was the vibration I was anchoring into. And the way that I used to pay my bills and handle my money was not that. Remember the laws. Do not forget that the law is what is producing your results. Not how much you work, not how hard you work, not how many hours you work. I know people who work themselves into the ground. I had a call with a woman who was working like 60 hours a week and barely getting by. And it was a decent job. It's all in the hose. She's got too many kinks in the hose. So life will only meet you where you are, but it will do anything for you. It's an infinite reality. The law can just as easily manifest $10 for you. No, the law can just as easily manifest 10 million for you as it can $10 for you. It doesn't care. It's impersonal. You can put it's an orderly uh process. And you could put anything into it and it's going to produce it for you. But you don't put it in based on what you think intellectually. You can't think, okay, great, this is awesome. Oh my God, I'm just going to ask the law now to produce $1 million for me. You can. And I highly recommend that you do on your goal card, right? You can ask the law to produce anything you want for you, but then you've got to be her. You've got to upgrade your beliefs. You've got to change how you're acting. You've got to watch your thoughts and replace them with the truth until the truth becomes your predominant reality inside of you. The truth being, there is infinite supply, and all my needs and desires are always being supplied. You've got to eradicate the fear of lack. Because when you are embodying, remember that word embody, when you're embodying the vibration, the energy, the vibe of the woman who has your goals achieved, there is so much that is in your current field and your way of doing things right now that would just not exist And that's what you've got to clean up now in order to actually have. There's a quote. I still think it's funny that I'm throwing Bible quotes here. Because, like I said, it's not like I grew up religious or anything, but I study little parts of the Bible now because I understood that it's instruction for us on how to work with the law in the way that we to really produce what we desire. And it's a quote that used to really confuse me, but now I understand it. And I'm going to share it with you, but I'm going to change the gender of it because we're all women here. It says, to she who hath, or for she who has, it shall be given. To she who has, gosh, this is so hard to say. To she who hath, it shall be given. But to she who hath not, shall be taken away even what she seems to have. What does that mean? It's like, sounds like a riddle, right? It is kind of a riddle. It means when you have the consciousness of having, you're able to have physically. But when you have the consciousness of I don't have, you're not able to have anything of any substance physically. So it's all in consciousness. We've got to look to consciousness. I had another call with someone who said, I'm always so afraid I won't be able to pay my bills. In fact, I even think she said, I'm not even able to have my basic needs met. And I said, is that true? I said, have you actually not been able to pay your bills? Are you like, did you have your electricity shut off? Or are you not able to pay your rent? Or are you not able to pay for food? And she said, well, no. I said, so wait, what you're telling me is you actually are able to pay for everything? You are paying for everything? She said, yes. And I said, well, then why did you tell me you're not? But it's an idea in her mind. It wasn't even true. It's like, whoa, this is a perception issue. One of the most powerful ways to start to increase the flow of money in your life, to undo that kink in the hose, is to start really practicing gratitude. So if you have, for example, let's say when you go in your bank account and you're like, oh, like maybe you used to think, oh gosh, there's only like that much money in there. Oh no, like now I don't care if it's $5 in your bank account, $5,000 in your bank account, $500,000 in your bank account. Go to your bank account and pour love on your bank balance. I am so grateful to you, money. Thank you for being here with me, money. Thank you for coming to me. Thank you for letting me use you for all of my needs and desires. I'm so grateful to this money that's in my bank account. Pour your gratitude on it. I used to look at it and be like, is that all there is? That is lack mentality. I had a serious lack mentality. And that's why I thought it was so funny that I was being told I could teach about prosperity. But I've transformed that lack mentality, and that's what gives me the license to be a prosperity teacher. The very thing that we struggle with is the very thing is partly like what we're here to teach. So if you're currently struggling with something, but you have aspirations of like teaching and you're like, well, gosh, who would I be to teach that? Well, just know that the reason you're struggling with it is because when you get yourself through that struggle, then you have something to actually use to support other people to get through that struggle. That's how we all help each other. So I can say that I have successfully transformed my lack mentality. And because of that, my finances are improving constantly. But it's been a ride, I'll say. That conditioning goes deep. I thought it came from my father. And then I'm like, oh, it also came from my mom. She just showed it differently. But I definitely got it from both parents. But then I'm like, whoa, no, I think it came from their parents. And then I'm like, I think it actually came from their parents. And then I'm like, wow, this is an ancestral fear, survival fear here. And then I'm like, oh, this is like a really big deal. Has a lot to do with humanity as a whole. And then I was like, I took it back even further, and I was like, at some point we started to take ourselves as separate from the source, and all the fear came in because when you're not aware that you're connected to the divine source of good, of love, of abundance, of vitality, then you start to freak out. So for me, healing the money flow in my life has had a lot to do with healing my nervous system. And I have done that in various ways, and I'm still doing it. But the way that I work with it every single day is through mind treatment. I give myself mind medicine because my mind is in every cell of my body. And as I change my mind, I change the the biochemistry of my body. I change everything on a subconscious level, and that changes my results. So that's the other part of the formula, not the formula, the name that I give my program now. And, I called my YouTube channel this too. Healthy mind, wealthy life. Breaking those two words into two parts. Heal thy mind. When you heal your mind of all the false ideas of separation that are causing the fear, that are causing the misperception of who you are and what you have here for, like available to you, and all the love that's here for you and all the abundance that's here for you. When you heal those false concepts, you start to well thy life. Your life can become prosperous. And that's what we're doing here in this work. That's what we've been doing over these 5 days. That's what I do in my 6-month mentorship program. But let's go back for a minute. I want to ask you a few more questions so you can gain some awareness about yourself when it comes to money. And there are some questions in the workbook as well. But number one was, how do you feel when you pay bills? Start feeling so grateful. Like, I love to pay my bills. I feel so grateful I can pay this bill. I'm so happy to pay this bill. I gratefully release this money. And I know that it's coming back to me, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. How do you feel when you look at your bank balance? How do you feel when you look at other people who have a lot of money? I used to feel very judgmental, very critical. I would feel this distaste come inside of me automatically. Uh, do you always go for the cheapest things? How do you feel when you spend money? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel, or do you feel awesome? How do you feel when you spend money? I used to go to the grocery store and have almost like a panic attack when the checker was checking out the food. We eat very well in my home. I have 3 kids. We eat organic food. I buy the best, and it costs a lot of money. And back in the day, I used to really freak out. I would feel so anxious paying for the money. Paying for the money, paying for the food, watching it like add up on the thing, and here I was, with my goal card. This was at the very beginning of this work, and with my self-image written out that like I am an abundant, prosperous, generous, all the things, and yet that's how I felt. I was like, well, no, no, no. Cut, like do that over again. Like that is not how this woman, this identity, that is not how you embody being a wealthy woman. She does not feel like that. I'm sorry. And you might say, well, of course you felt like that. You probably didn't have a lot of money in your bank account. No, I didn't. And that's how most people operate. They say, well, yeah, of course you felt like that. You don't have a lot of money in your bank account. And they just leave it at that. But that's not how cause and effect works. If we sit here and just react to the effect with the cause, which is inside of us, we just keep producing the same effect over and over and over and over and over again. The way to transform it is to first plant a new thought, a new idea, a new concept in your consciousness, and you plant it in a very particular way, and you keep tending it, and that's what changes the effect. So I truly had to learn how to stand there with the same bank balance, buying the same food, and be a different person. And every single one of you can learn this. And the way I did it was through constantly affirming that I was always provided for, no matter how it looked. Now, I did not believe that at first, but through the constant repetition of that idea, I'm always provided for, no matter how it looks. All of my needs are always taken care of. I'm always provided for. I'm safe. All my needs are taken care of. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. All is well. All is well in my life and affairs. I had to repeat, 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 and it finally started to influence my nervous system. And then I would add in, I am a wealthy woman. My life is now the evidence. I am a wealthy woman. My life is becoming the evidence over and over and over again. And then I could stand there, spend the same amount of money with the same bank account, and feel so relaxed. Because why? Because then I truly believed no matter how it looks, I'm provided for. This is so amazing. I would stand there and feel grateful. I'm I'm so grateful I have the money to buy this food. And that's when things really started to shift for me. That's when my monthly income started to increase. That's when I started achieving my goals. When I changed the pattern, it's a pattern. And a lack pattern, a fear-based pattern, will always produce lack. You can't, it's totally incongruent. Remember the matching game? You cannot have one card that says I'm like wealthy, I am abundant, and then pick up another card that says I'm afraid to pay for the groceries. It's not a match. You got to put that card back. What card fits? You've got to be congruent, and you can't fool the law. You can't fool consciousness. It's in you. It always knows exactly how you feel. You're transmitting a signal through your feeling, not just your intellectual thought. Your intellectual thought, a new thought that you take intellectually, it's got to be uh, accepted subconsciously for it to impact your manifestations. That is the law of vibration. It's your vibe. What is your money vibe? What is your money vibe? Whatever your money vibe is exactly congruent with your money results. So if you want new money results, you've got to upgrade your money vibe. You've got to start changing your relationship with money. I've told this story to my clients before, but it was like, it was a good one. Like a lot of people think, okay, well, I want to make more money, so I need this strategy and I need this business idea and I need this and I need this. Yes, you do need ideas. Money comes from ideas. And when you get a goal and you plant it in your subconscious mind, you're going to start getting ideas in order to, that are going to manifest your goal in physicality. That the how will start to become revealed to you. But the best strategy and the best marketing plan and the best idea won't do diddly for you if back of it you have a lack-based consciousness. You've got to change the consciousness first. And everything comes from there. So, here's the story. So, I was having some, I don't know, just kind of a slow period in my business. And I was really working on upgrading we have a self-image, like what you just did in the workbook for self-image, we do as a lesson in my mentorship program, but we do it over 2 weeks, and then we're using what we do for the whole rest of the program. I really went to my self-image script, and updated a bunch of it. And then I remember getting ready to go out in my car and I picked up my purse and I was like, wait a minute. This purse is so not congruent with the self-image that I've been affirming. Come on, she doesn't carry this purse. If I were trying out for a role in a movie, and I was being the wealthy woman, and I was carrying this purse, they would be like, you either got to get a new purse or we got to get a new actress here because this is not believable. So I went out and I bought myself a new purse. And I bought a purse that I loved, and I bought a purse that reflected the energy, the vibe of my upgraded self-image, that it was a match to my goals. And within a week, the my business uh, picked up. I didn't do anything else different. I bought a new purse. And you might say, "Oh, that's coincidence." It is not. There's no such thing as coincidence. Everything happens by law. Another one of my a client of mine, this isn't about money, but it's a very great example, and it's about relationships. She didn't really have a money goal. I have everyone pick a financial goal and a personal goal, but she picked a financial goal, but her main goal was she wanted to find the love of her life. And one day we were on a call, a group call, and I was talking about embodying the self-image, the being of the woman with our goals achieved. And I told that story about buying the new purse. And she was like, "Oh." And I said, "What?" And she said, "The outfit I wear to bed is not the outfit I would be caught dead in with my new aligned love in my life. I would not be caught wearing this outfit when he comes to my house." I said, "Get rid of it immediately. What would you be wearing?" She went and she bought those new pajamas that she knew that she would be wearing with this new love relationship in her life. And within a couple weeks, she met him. And that was over a year ago, and they're still together. It was the pajamas, and it was the purse. But it wasn't because of the pajamas themselves or the purse itself. It was because of what it communicated to the field. So, what do you have in your life right now that keeps communicating to the field that I have my old income set point? Maybe it's an outfit you wear every day, or something you wear around the house, or you haven't bought yourself new underwear in ages and your underwear's got holes in it, or, like, are you taking really good care of yourself? Self-care is an expression of self-love. And self-love is an essential component for having a prosperous reality. Pouring on some self-love is a prerequisite to bring in more money in. So we've got to start to take a look. How often are you lowering your standards because you say, well, I can't? Watch your language. I can't, I don't, I won't, I can't have, I can't afford, I can't have, I won't have. If think turn the volume up on your language and listen to this inner conversation that's happening. And notice how often you're lowering your standards to match your current income. And ask yourself, what are some ways that I can start to raise my standards without, of course, I'm not telling you to go out and spend all the money in your bank account, but to spend a bit of it on something that gives you an upgrade. Maybe it's an upgrade in an outfit, or an upgrade in something, some sort of food you're buying, or an upgrade on the sheets on your bed, or the upgrade in a towel in your towels. So you're now using a towel that is like really luxurious. Gives a massive communication to this field that you're ready for an upgrade and that you know you deserve it. So there are all sorts of ways. That's funny. Maybe I I lost my money. Oh no, here it is. There are all sorts of ways to have more of this flow in your life, but it's all coming through your consciousness. Everything is energy. The money is energy, and you are energy. And this money is it's a reflection of your energy. I heard someone say this. I think it was I have the book over there. I think it was John Randolph Price who said money, MONEY, is the acronym is my own natural energy yield. So instead of asking, how can I have more money? How can I bring more money in? How can I earn more money? Ask yourself, how can I increase my capacity to give? Giving and receiving are one unit. How can I increase my capacity to serve? Money comes as an exchange of value. How can I bring more value to this world? Infinite intelligence, give me an idea that's going to give more value to this world. As opposed to saying, infinite intelligence, please, please, please just give me more money. Ask that question. How can I bring more value to the world? How can I increase my energy? How can I increase my impact? And then you will receive an idea. And then you have to use the other things I've taught you over this week, like that terror barrier, because there'll be a part of you that's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that. I don't know. I can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Your paradigm will kick in and tell you all the reasons why you can't bring that idea to fruition. But if you persist and you do it anyway, you're opening the way to receive more money. How can I increase my capacity? I used to be running on such little capacity. I felt maxed out all the time. That is not a coincidence in terms of how much money I had in my bank account. The money in my bank account was a reflection of my energy. Gosh, it's already almost 1 o'clock. Boy, I have to at least mention a few laws here. I know I've talked about a lot of them, but there is a law of compensation, and I want to talk about it briefly. And then we will wrap up and I will stop the YouTube live stream and I will end the recording and I'll see if anyone wants to stay or if anyone's coming in to ask any questions for the Q&A. But the law of compensation states that you are always compensated according to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. And if you think about it, that's true. Like think about the income that a brain surgeon earns compared to like an Uber driver. The difficulty there is in replacing you, the need for what you do and your ability to do it. Your main focus needs to be on your ability to do it. And you might say, well, gosh, there's not a great need for what I do. I bet you there is. And if you really truly think there isn't, I bet you there's something else that you are much better suited to do, that there is a great need for. And the difficulty there is in replacing you will have everything to do with how good you become at doing it. But here's the other thing that I want you to walk away with. That's really, really important. Part of it is a thing. Like, yes, get as good as you can possibly get at what you do. Put your all into learning how to be the best at what you do. But right here and now, start affirming, I am the best at what I do. There is no one who does what I do better than I do. I'm impossible to replace. These are affirmative statements that, though you might not see objective facts backing them up at the moment, once your subconscious mind accepts them, you start emanating that vibration. And soon enough, people start becoming attracted to you because they want to work with you or they want to be with you or they want to buy your product or they want your service because you believe you're the best and you believe that what you have is the best, and you believe that you are the best one to give it to them. And remember, it's an exchange. So part of it is what you do in the 3D, but more than that, it's what you believe about yourself. How much do you truly feel that you are worth? No one's going to pay you more than you feel you're worth. Nobody. And you won't even keep it if they pay you it, if you don't feel you're worth it. Somehow or another, it's going to leave you because remember, the self-image sets the thermostat. So that's the law of compensation in a nutshell. The other law I wanted to briefly mention, and then I promise I will wrap up. I told you I could talk for a week about this, and I really feel like I just scratched the surface, but I know that I gave you something really valuable to start with today. There's a law of supply and demand that states that for every demand, there is the corresponding supply. And that's why I encouraged you all to set a C type goal because life won't give you more than you ask for, than you demand of it. It will only match your demand. So if your financial goal that you're writing on your goal card is just like, oh, maybe I can double what I currently make, I wouldn't say that that's a C type goal. It doesn't require you to really grow and transform. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but just know you won't get any more than what you can actually claim. So when you write a really big goal on the card, you've got to really expand your consciousness to start to be able to claim that. But as you do that, and once you do that, the supply that matches that demand will come to you. So don't think little. You got to start thinking bigger. If you think bigger, you're going to receive bigger. If you think little, you're going to receive little. So this is why I coach people to think big. And at first they're like, wow, that's completely unrealistic. Yes, it is. But not when it comes to actual reality. When it comes to your conditioned reality, yep, it's totally unrealistic. When it comes to the true reality that we are infinite beings and we dwell in infinite abundance, it's totally realistic. So that's why it says in God we trust. It doesn't say in the bank we trust or in my job I trust or in my past results I trust. No, in God. Replace that word God with the infinite. In the infinite we trust. And the other thing on the money, and then I will wrap up, I promise. I mentioned it yesterday, I think. It says annuit coeptus above that triangle, that pyramid with the eye above it and the triangle. Annuit coeptus. I might not be saying that right. It means he or she, meaning the divine, supports our undertakings. So, what do you want to do? Money needs a place to go. Money needs a reason to come to you. What do you want to do? Money needs you to give it a reason to come, and it supports your undertakings. So thank you, 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 everybody, for being here on Zoom, for being here on YouTube, for watching the recordings, for doing this challenge with me. This has been a really, really rich and wonderful experience for me. And I'm grateful to all of you who have participated. And I am now going to officially end our class, but then I will stay if anyone has any questions, and I'll answer questions. We'll see if anyone comes in. And I am available for calls now. Some of you have booked your calls, and I'm really looking forward to speaking with you one-on-one. And I'm also available via email if you end up having questions, if you're watching the replay and you didn't get to come here live. So reach out to me. I'm here for you. And thank you so much. Appreciate you all. I'm going to end the recording and end the YouTube live stream. Let's see if I can finish figure out how to end the recording. Oh boy. First, I'm going to end the YouTube live stream.